Hey, friends and support partners. This is Jason Walbrink saying hi to you from Lima, Peru. Actually, I'm here today in our church building. This is our little mini studio corner of the church where we record daily devotional content for our social media. And just wanted to take a minute and give you an update. I know it's been a couple of months since we've sent out a prayer letter, so I thought that we'd just do something different and send you a video update and just share a little bit about what has been happening in our lives, in our family, and here in the ministry in Lima, Peru. All right, so first off, I want to start with our family. And how's our health? You know, that's one of the big things. We're still in pandemic. Here in Peru, it's pretty crazy. Since we went to the U.S. for Christmas for a few weeks, since we came back the first week of January, mid-January, everything was closed down again. And there's been multiple quarantines and closed downs because of COVID-19. However, as a family, we're very healthy. We've probably been the healthiest ever this year because the kids aren't going to school. All schools have been shut down all last year and all this year as well. So we were kind of forced to do homeschool. So we are healthy. You can pray. My wife just this last week has developed some migraines. Might be from having the kids at home doing all that homeschool. But she got some tests, so you might pray that that will pass. We're seeing what goes on with that. But overall, we're very healthy as a family. The kids are growing physically. We're growing together as a family. But you can also pray for our sanity because we feel like we spend a lot of time indoors at home. There are certain days you can go out and certain things you can do. We do go to church now, and we get the kids out a little more than before, but it just feels like we're at home a lot, and it can be very frustrating and tiring, and the kids can get bored. So you can pray for us about that, but we are growing as a family, and we're very thankful for all your prayers. Our ministry. So as I mentioned, I'm here in Fuente de Vida's church building. This is a couple miles down the road from where we live in the Ovalo, kind of a central spot in Seneguilla. Ministry's been very difficult to navigate, honestly speaking. Just from my heart to yours, it has not been an easy year. We were shut down for 9 months last year. We did everything online. We, as many of you know, we did food projects here from our building, gave out food and prayed for people on the sidewalks. We did all kinds of different things. And it seems at this point like we've tried just about everything. We've done men's groups and Bible studies through Zoom calls. We've done Facebook Live prayer meetings. We've done small groups, discipleship. We're doing all kinds of different things, but it's been very difficult to navigate. Things were open back up, and we started having services again regularly in January. Many of our ministries were starting back up. They shut us down again for about 6 weeks. And so that was very hard because we were just starting to rebuild momentum, and they shut that down again. And at this point, there are many people we've lost contact with. Then we opened up again in March, and then they shut us down again after 2 weeks. And now we're finally opened up back again to have services live. We've been doing that for 3 weeks now. We cannot do services on Sunday. No one is allowed out of their house on Sundays. But we can go out on Saturdays. I'm not sure the logic there. That's just the Peruvian government's thing. So we do have Saturday night services now. So the good news is once they open Sundays, we'll have a Sunday service too. And we always wanted to start a Saturday night service, so now we have it. We were forced into that one. But it was good. We had a good service this last week. It has been difficult to lead because it's hard to build momentum. Many people are still afraid to come out to the live services, so we don't have a big crowd, and the government has limited our capacity to 30%. So that's been a little bit difficult, and that changes daily. They have new announcements every day, so it's very hard to follow. But those are the challenges, I would say. There are many challenges. People are struggling with fear. There are challenges. We almost lost our building because we don't have services, and they don't have online giving. So not a lot of people are giving, but we were able to work out a reduced rent. We've been paying a reduced amount of rent this last year, and we were able to keep the facility. So thank you for your prayers about that. There are opportunities, though, and I want to tell you about those opportunities so we can thank the Lord together. One thing I want to tell you is there's a guy named Anibal who got saved here in our ministry a few years ago. Last year, during quarantine, he led a guy to the Lord named Gary. It was in one of our prayer letters, and he actually helped baptize Gary. He has become a discipler from some men, and I am discipling him personally. We're going through a study on the armor of the Lord, and he's very hungry for that. Anibal is actually from the mountains in an area called Huancayo. He's a very simple, kind-hearted guy, and I'm excited to see his growth and progress. And every Thursday afternoon, I meet with him for one-on-one discipleship, and then he takes what he learns and he teaches it to a couple other guys that he takes care of here in our church community. So you can pray for Anibal as he grows in leadership. Another thing is right here where I'm standing, I mentioned we record our daily devotional content. That's going out on Facebook and on YouTube. We've added about 1,000 followers to our Facebook page. So there are people that are listening and watching and connecting. And there's a teaching team that actually meets. We have 6 different people on that teaching team and a 7th person that's starting to be trained. And this last month, I had 2 different training sessions with that teaching team, and I was training them basically how to preach the gospel. So we have men and women on that devotional content team, and we've been teaching them how to do illustrations and how to do storytelling and how to speak in public. But the idea is it's easier in front of a camera than in front of the entire church live. But I'm very excited because we wanted that for a long time in order to really grow the voices and the platform of our ministry. But it wasn't until this year that started to form. So you can pray for the teaching team of Fuente de Vida to grow in the sharing of the gospel. Another neat opportunity that happened this last year during COVID is we have a radio program. A local radio station actually came and knocked on our door and asked us to start producing content for them. They wanted us to do 2 nights a week, but we were so busy doing other recordings, we only committed to 1 night a week. I just was there with my wife teaching on the radio. My wife actually does that program almost every week. Another man off our teaching team is kind of the narrator of that program, so he has some dialogue with her. His name is Carlos. And then I go about once a month, and we take some turns with different people in the teaching team. But you can pray for the radio program on Radio Cadena is the radio station. All right. Upcoming trip opportunity that I have, Pastor Jairo, who works in Iquitos. Some of you might have know him if I've taken you up there, or teams from your church. He's actually invited me up to go on the Amazon to a village to teach a pastor's conference in the month of May. So keep that in your prayers. I would like to go and take some of our guys from the church, from our teaching team, but it's still difficult. They're open, closing flights and things like that constantly to that area based on COVID. So keep that in prayer. And the final thing I want to talk to you about and give you an update on and ask for your prayers is for the nation of Peru right now. Peru, being a third world country, was not in a strong economic situation or position before the pandemic happened, but it's in a very difficult place right now. There's inflation happening in the Peruvian sol, their money here, and the economy's not doing well. There's a lot of people that are still hurting, that are out of work. The government has many, many restrictions that are changing almost daily. Some of them don't seem to even make sense. A lot of people are frustrated. You can work this time of day, but not that time of day, or this day you can and that day you can't. And when people are hungry and hurting, they can be hard to deal with. So there's a lot of pain there, economically speaking. But we also want you to pray for healthcare. There are many people still dying. The numbers are very high with COVID-19 here. We actually, a father of a boy from my son's class at school actually passed away a couple weeks ago of it. And it's revealing an underlying health crisis here in Lima and in Peru. There's not a good healthcare system, and many people have neglected their health in an unhealthy lifestyle. So that's something that we want to pray for. People are struggling with health and healthcare, and many other people are living in fear. There are still people that literally have not left their house in a year that are very afraid. It's never healthy to walk in fear. So keep that in prayer. And a huge one that's looming right now is the elections. So the elections for the president here of our nation, the initial election actually happened in April, and many people did not show up for the election, even though they have to vote or pay a fine here, because they were afraid they'd get COVID. Now, there were about 15 different candidates, and the vote got split up so diluted that 2 candidates that came out on top are now in the runoff, and there's a runoff election happening very soon. And that runoff election is between the daughter of the ex-dictator of Peru, who's in jail right now for crimes against humanity, and the other candidate is a socialist, communist candidate from the left-wing party from the mountains in the northern part of the country, who has promised to unite Peru with Cuba and Venezuela and eliminate the Constitution as soon as he takes office. So right now we're kind of like trying to choose the better of 2 evils. It's a situation that has a lot of people walking on eggshells and worried and afraid about the future of this country. But I believe that God is in control. And I believe that politics is not going to change the country, but Jesus Christ needs to change people's hearts. And that's what we continue to preach and pray for and expect and work together for as ministers of the gospel. So join with me in prayer, will you, for Peru's future, and that the Lord would be at work. The harvest is still plentiful, and the workers are even fewer yet. We only know of a handful of churches in Peru that are actually even open right now. And doing ministry. So continue to pray for us and pray for us to be encouraged. It's been difficult with all the craziness happening and the shutdowns. It's been very discouraging at times. Pray that the Lord will give us the strength we need, and He'll give us the clarity of how to minister in these special times. Thank you once again so much for your prayers. We really need that. And thank you for your financial support for our family and our ministry here. We appreciate you, and together we desire to continue working together for the gospel.